morning, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of ZF Today's Opening Bell, how we call it in Romania, ZF Deschiderea De Astăzi. Today we're discussing with PETER DE BOER. He's the CEO of DN AGRAR. DN AGRAR is a listed company and one of the top performance equity listed on Bucharest Stock Exchange here today. Almost the price has been doubled since the first day of this year. Peter, good morning.
Hello, good morning, and I'm really happy to be back on your show.
Same. The last time we talked, I think it was in April or something. During spring times, you were about to announce the financial results, or you announced the financial results, the ones from the first quarter, and we've seen a positive reaction since then. And now as well, the record quarter, second quarter for DN AGRAR. What were the main drivers? Because we've seen around, if I'm not mistaken, let me check, net profit in the second quarter around 13 million RON, double than the same quarter last year.
Yeah, so it's quite a busy year so far. We had the start of the operations at our Straja farm, the start of our operations in our first compost farm, installation in the first half year of the solar panels. So we had a lot of things. Then, of course, we had also record results in Q1. The announcement of our strategy 2025-2030, change in management. And now, as you mentioned already, we saw quite some growth so far in the share price as well in the liquidity of our stock. And now we reached, after a half year, the almost 30 million. Mainly due to the fact that we, of course, the milk price increased with almost 20% in the first half year, which leads almost to 80% growth of our net profit compared to last year, and almost an EBITDA of 50 million with a growth of over 40%. That's partially increase in milk price. Second, we increased our milk supply with 6% as well. Also, we started to export more milk. So all the new milk produced this year, the extra milk, the additional milk compared to last year, is not contracted, and we sell it to a trader to Greece, to northern Italy, etc. So that had also a small part with it, and further optimizations. So we further optimized our operations at the Appold farm. We increased the liter produced per cow. As well as that we invest significantly in sustainability practice like no-till technology, etc. This is the first full year that we use these kind of technologies, and they bring up a lot of savings. But mainly more milk supply and of course a better sales price of our product.
How do you see milk prices going into the second half of the year? Because like you mentioned, 20% in 1 year is a lot for a commodity.
Yeah. Now, especially we see quite an upward trend since the Russian aggression in Ukraine. Since then, the price quite increased, and it remains on quite high levels. Also, we made our budget this year for a net profit of 38 million almost. Probably we will restate it, and we will publish it in the coming period. But we expect that it maintains on a high level, at least till October. We will remain more or less with this 20%. For the last quarter, probably we will see a decrease a bit in the milk price. For what we can see now on the European market, we see that it is sold contracts that are now closed for December, etc. And next year, January, are a bit under the current average, but it remains high. On the other hand, we will feel some pressure in feed costs. We have one of the worst agricultural years in many years, or in the last decade almost, in our area. We are located between Orastia, Sibiu, and Alba, and that is the driest part of the country. So we have many in our crops, we have half of the tons harvested compared to last year. To give you an example, for corn, last year we had 30 tons per hectare. Now we will end up with 18 tons per hectare, or some parts even 15 tons. So of course the food cost will increase in the coming period, but we estimate with further increase in milk supply, this week we will publish the milk growth for August compared to last year, and that will be also around 20% increase compared to last year, only in August. So that helps us to sustain our goal, of course, of 10% milk increase for the whole year, what we estimate. Last year, we produced 63 million liters of milk. This year, we estimate 70 million liters of milk. So partially, we are confident that even if the milk price would partially decrease, that we could somehow compensate that by a further increase in milk deliveries. But we see a small decline, and that's also what I expect for the coming periods. We see that on a collection level in Europe, currently there's more milk collected than expected. So also we see butter prices decreasing, cheese prices decreasing. So we will see a small decrease, but we expect that it remains high. And overall, by the year end, we will end up somewhere between 17 to 20% higher milk price compared to last year. That's what we expect.
On the short term, Peter, the higher milk price, will it compensate for the higher expenses for corn production?
No, it will not fully compensate. Especially our standard cost, we need now to divide them through less tons, let's say. Next to that, we are fast growing. As I mentioned already, we started operation at the Deschiderea farm. We just reached now, by the end of August, 1,800 animals at that farm. We will further supply that farm at least to 2,000 or 2,500 animals. So we have significantly less food production from our fields, which means that we need to acquire outside of our group food for our animals. The benefit are somehow we are lucky that the market prices of cereals, also of rapeseed, etc., are significantly lower than last year. So that will partially compensate. But we will see in Q3 and especially in Q4 increase in food prices in our thing. So somehow we need to compensate that by delivering more milk and try to save more costs. On the other hand, also we will soon start to sell our compost, which is also in our budget to sell this year 3,500 tons of organic fertilizer. We are finalizing in the certification process, so that should also help to canalize a bit the effect, let's say. But partially it's remaining high on milk price and further increase in milk supply.
How many cows do you have now, and how many do you intend to have by the end of the year, or how many do you estimate to have?
We have over 16,000 animals at the moment, and we estimate by the end of the year close to have 18,000. At the moment, it's almost 50-50 cows and young stock, let's say. In an ideal scenario, we would have 1/3 young stock and 2/3 cows. But because we are growing so fast, now we need to populate the Deschiderea farm. Next year, we will start to build the Kut 2 farm, another investment that we announced this year, with the same capacity at the Deschiderea farm, also for 5,000 animals, which will come operational in 2028. That also need to be populated. So in the coming years, we estimate that we will have this balance of approx 50% productive cows and 50% young stock. In case we would like to reach the optimum of 1/3 young stock, 2/3 productive animals, we should grow slower, let's say, or at least 1-2 years to balance a little bit to speed up. But for the moment, we see a lot of potential to further grow, also further diversify our clientele. And we see that there is a lot of requests for milk, because that's one of the main reasons, of course, that the European milk price is now already for several years significantly higher than 3 years ago.
What do you mean by young stock, young cows? The ones that are not yet producing milk?
So that are calves or heifers or these kind of animals. So it takes 2 years before a cow or before a young stock, so a heifer, becomes a cow and starts to produce milk. So and we try to supply our farms with our own animals, because we have then complete quality control over the animals. And based on our experiences, when you purchase externally animals, you need to replace almost immediately 10 to 20, sometimes even 30% of the herd that you acquired. So that's quite expensive. And what we see currently is that because of the mouth and feet, the claw disease, the price for animals at the moment in the market, European market, is extremely high. Like to purchase one cow is almost 2,800 euros. So it's not economical even at the moment to purchase them from the market.
You mentioned about the price, about the estimates. Let's see about volume. for the second quarter, the second half of the year? What are your estimates here?
We budgeted this year for 70 million liters of milk, 3,500 tons of organic fertilizer, as I already mentioned. We are quite confident that we will reach the 70 million. That would mean a 10% growth. And now in July, we had 20% more milk than last year, July. Also now in August, we had 20% more milk compared to last year, which brings us now already over 9. I do it from my head, but I think it's almost 9.3 or 9.4% more milk than last year. And we will see further increases in the coming months as well. So we are quite confident that we will reach this 10% that we estimated. Probably it could be even more than 10%. Although now preparing our new budget that we will publish on the 9th of September, we will take in consideration 10% milk growth. The average milk price that we received so far in the first 8 months, or we know more or less already for the first 9 months. So it will be based on that. And of course, our estimation on how many tons of organic fertilizer we will sell. And take in consideration, of course, the increase in feed cost that we needed to acquire outside of the group. But it's clearly that the restating of the budget will show an upward trend. So it will be positive news.
I also want to touch on the budget because we've seen a very positive reaction on the stock market after we wrote the news. But let's see first the Straja project, because you mentioned this investment. How are things going? How many cows do you have here, and how many do you intend to have at the end of the year?
Yeah, so now we just reached 1,800 dairy cows. We finalized as well the 2 milking rotors. Now we are installing the robots to clean the udder and to dip with a liquid against sourness of the udder. We are installation there as well. And in the coming periods, we will further populate the farm. So our goal is by the end of the year, or let's say at least before next year, March, because that's important for the subsidy scheme for the number of animals, to reach a total at least there of 2,200 to 2,500 animals. And by the end of next year, there should be already over 3,000. And then by 2027, we should have 5,000 dairy cows with a production of 150,000 liters per day. And that will be at that time then the largest farm in our group. But things go quite well. Although we had quite some delays in the construction phase, now the 1,800 dairy cows were estimated for end December this year. So we are now really advancing, faster populating the farm, which is for the whole group beneficial because it puts also less pressure on the other farms where those animals were hosted, of course, due to the delay. So we see overall performance also increasing on the other farms just because we are moving and we're putting less pressure on those farms, and we're moving the cows. And as I said, that milk, the milk that we produce, soon we will produce already another extra truck per day at the Straja farm, and that milk currently almost goes all to Greece. And currently we are in the analyze phase of to produce also cream and skimmed milk, so to separate them directly at the farm. And we have 3 offers, and I think this will be an investment that we will announce this year. And for what I can oversee now is that we will also start to produce those 2 commodities, so cream and skimmed milk, which you significantly reduce your transportation costs, so we can even export more to countries like Greece or Italy. That could be probably already operational next year. So, but I think in 1 or 2 months we will announce the investment and also the estimated budget that is necessary for that investment.
Peter, the demand, is it satisfied here locally, or do you see the need to go more outside the borders?
Well, we have, of course, this price cap on skimmed milk implemented by the government due to the inflation method. We hope to see that the government, any price cap, generally speaking, can have more or less only have negative results. I mean, okay, maybe for the short term it's nice, but it blocks innovation. It pushes companies to realign their strategies and to look to other markets, etc. There is a problem, of course, that the Romanian milk price, our price is not connected to the Romanian milk price. It's more on the European level, but still the Romanian milk price itself is at the moment the lowest in all of Europe. And that is concerning, and that is also quite for a while, and the gap becomes bigger and bigger. which is concerning, I would say so. So, of course, for the extra milk that we now start to produce, we don't look for the local market. We look to export it. Currently, the best milk price that we receive for our liter of milk is the milk that we sell in Greece. And as I said, we could further, when we would also produce cream and skimmed milk, because we don't want to compete with our clients. So this we could still sell to our existing clients, but we could also sell it to bakeries or companies like Unilever or Nestle, or you can easier transport it or export it further away because you significantly reduce your transportation costs. So through this, we can diversify our clientele as well as our markets.
Solar panels. That was my next question regarding the investments. How are things here, and what energy cost savings do you expect? Because I know that you have a partnership with BCOG regarding the manure, but maybe you can explain to us these projects.
Yeah, regarding the solar panels, this year we invested approximately 1.8 million euros, I think, in solar panels with 60% financing to the PNRR. We invested in solar panels and in batteries. They are installed in the Apold farm, the Koet farm, and the DN AGRAR farm. It's all finalized, also the batteries. We are now also installing chargers to start to electrify our fleet, cars, etc. So that's the next step to do on that as well. Of course, when these plans by the government were announced, at that time, the market was informed as well that the government would put the legal framework in place that you could deliver to the network, and everything what you deliver extra to the network, you could take free, let's say, for the night as well. So then you could be almost, you could reduce almost your electricity cost to zero. Currently, that legislation framework is not in place. So currently, we estimate that we could probably reduce, when it's optimal working, around 60% of our electricity costs. Still significant. Now we will also start to apply for the subsidy scheme for the Deschiderea farm to also have their solar panels. So that's on one hand, but it's running, it's operational. And so far it's quite satisfying, only not 80, 90 or 100% reduction, but so far we think the optimum is around 60, 65%. And as soon as the legal framework will be in place that you can deliver to the grid and also take it back, of course, you can increase it to 90, 100%. Then we have, of course, with Black Sea Oil and Gas to develop together one of the largest biomethane facilities in Romania, between 15, 20 megawatts. Land acquisition is finalized. We are now in the permit phase. We signed a few months ago the supply contract and the development contract, two huge milestones. And now in the coming half year, we will work for all the permits. That will take 6 to 8 months. And then the final investment decision will be taken beginning somewhere next year. And if that is positive, we can immediately start to construct. And then it should be operational at latest in 2028, from the start of 2028. And that is will reduce our emissions with almost 90%, as well as that we expect that we will receive between 3.5 and 4 million euros on revenues, where we are responsible for the transportation. But of course, that will significantly improve the financial situation of DN AGRAR, especially as those incomes from compost or organic fertilizer and from the biomethane plant, we don't need to reinvest it in current operations. What you have, and of course, when you harvest the profits that come from crops, etc., you need to reinvest that in land next year to have crops again. But those funds we can use to accelerate our growth and finance our new investments that we have announced in our strategy. So yeah, if things move ahead with the compost and especially with the biomethane plant, then from 2028 much more resources will come available to further accelerate the growth of the DN AGRAR as a whole.
So from 2028, 3 to 4 million euros in revenues per year estimated.
Yeah. Of course,
Okay.
and we are responsible for the transportation of it. So, okay, it doesn't go all directly in your profit, but of course, to a large extent, it goes. And I think, yeah, that we can just use to invest in new projects because it is, and also it helps the manure price, etc., is not depending on the milk price, or it's not a commodity. So it's a 15-year contract, and we significantly reduce our emissions as well. And with the compost, because we have our goal to produce net zero milk, around 2030. So it's a huge contributor from a sustainability aspect as well.
2028 is a big year for DN AGRAR with two big plants coming at an end. This biogas and Straja, right? The additional.
No, Straja is end of 2027. The year 2028 would be start milking 1,800 cows at the Koet 2 farm. Yes, we will have further increased compost, so we will be producing somewhere between 20 to 30,000 tons of compost, biomethane. And of course, a Straja farm with 5,000 cows and close to 150,000 liters milk per day there. So that will be a big year, but it needs to be a big year as well because we are preparing to go to the main market. We will announce our plan by the end of next year. By the end of this year, if we either go next year to the main market or the year after, that we will announce in December. As well as that we are currently developing in our diversification strategy to also start to produce vegetables in greenhouses. And of course, for that, we need to place DN AGRAR in a really good and strong position because probably we need to do a major capital increase then, hopefully to attract attention from pension funds and institutional investors to sustain those large investments in greenhouses, etc. So our goal is to put DN AGRAR as an organization in the strongest position as possible. And as well, because we do always scenario thinking, and one is, as I said, we will start to produce probably cream and skimmed milk so we can extend our clientele in Romania, but also in the region. So to be less dependent just on the European milk price, let's say, for the future.
But Peter, for instance, this transfer on the main market, because we had some companies on the aero market and they transferred on the main market. Yet we haven't seen so many pensions funds going there. We've seen a couple of Arabs, but the stock went down. DN AGRAR is the most liquid company on the aero market, if I'm not mistaken. So from my point of view, let's say from a journalistic point of view, the liquidity is here, the investors are here, because at this interview, whenever I ask the investors, because I'm sure you know that we also have investors, what are the main companies in our portfolio? DN AGRAR is one of the most frequent answer here, together with some companies from BET. So the investors somehow they've got your back when you intend to finance new projects. So the main reason for the transfer is to have a more diversified shareholder structure, or are there any other reasons?
No, I mean, I hear always a lot of, like my previous job as an investor relations director, I hear a lot of people complaining about the aero market. Now, I don't have this negative feeling at all. I think we have shown so far a wonderful growth on the market. Of course, liquidity is an issue, but it also depends how much effort you put in communication with your investors, etc. And then it is possible to have a high liquidity. And I think we showed it now already for a couple of months that there is quite a good liquidity. So that's not the issue. Also, I don't necessarily believe that our share price would grow faster on the main market than it does now. As you mentioned, there are many examples of companies who did the upgrade and they saw more or less only a decrease in share price. So that's not the case. But of course, if you think for our the first greenhouses should be operational in 2028, 2029. There we need to attract larger amounts. Then you don't talk about 10 million euros, but on larger amounts. So for that, I think you need the main market would offer a better solution, as well as the perception of how we are perceived. Also internationally, it is for some international investors harder to invest on the air market than on the main market. So we could diversify professional force. And also the feedback that we have so far from institutionals and pension funds is quite positive. We will go on a kind of a roadshow later this year and as well as next year. So far as I can oversee, I'm confident, let's say, not overconfident, but I'm confident that we will succeed to attract some interest of one or two of them. And for the visibility and for the next day, we always said we need to have close to a market cap of around 100 million euros. Now, we are not that far away anymore. We have a good liquidity, good visibility. then it would be a natural step. Although in our strategy it was announced in 2028, but I think it's good for us to be at least 1 year, 1.5 years also on the main market before we ask to go for a major capital increase or whatsoever, let's say, to be even more visible. So it's a natural step. But first we need to finalize IFRS, etc. We are not there yet. We will soon finalize that part, and then will be next. But I completely agree with you that just to have a higher valuation or more liquidity, that's not necessarily the truth when you do the upgrade to the main market, that you will succeed in that. There are other factors.
Peter, 2 more questions, if I may. In your strategy 2025-2030, you've mentioned the possibility of investing in vertical wheatgrass farm. Can you elaborate, please, the reasons behind these investments and how are things going, and when we will have these farms ready? And don't say 2028 again, because you'll put so much pressure for that year.
No. I even forgot. It's the project we are working almost every day on it because we are in the testing phase. So this year we will announce 2 more investments. That is the wheatgrass and the cream and skimmed milk investment. And both of them, I expect that they would become operational next year. I think the cream and the skimmed milk a bit earlier, but maybe if everything goes well in the end of first half year next year. And for the wheatgrass, we expect in Q4, late Q3 next year. And the idea is, because we are growing so fast and we have some other farms in the pipeline next to Straža, of course, the Q2 farm, and from 2028, even maybe the Straža 2 farm, we need more feedstock. Currently, we work 10,000 hectares. It's not sufficient. So we have several options, either to build new farms further away, to try to find for one farm, you need, let's say, approx 3,000 hectares, to find those 3,000 hectares somewhere on the location and build a new farm. That is, in that case, we lose some synergies, efficiency, because you need a new team there. It's harder to manage. It's from a larger distance, etc. You need your own machine fleet, everything there. Now we can use machine fleets. We can use technicians, etc. Our constructors, our own construction team between farms, etc. So we have a lot of synergies that we will lose. As well as that we have climate change. And last year we had an amazing year. This year it's a terrible year. So now we are testing wheatgrass. We are analyzing 2 situations. One to start with a 40-ton output per day, another one with an 80-ton output per day. And we try to find what is the optimum. And that means we sow, and after 7 days or 8 days, we harvest. Currently, we are testing. We now discovered that the first 4 days of growing, after seeding, you don't need to give the plant light. Now we're testing, can we further increase the protein level, which is important for the milk production. So we aim for a protein level of 24 to 28%. And through that, we estimate that we can replace 20 to 30% of our feedstock. We can replace rapeseed. This year we imported for 4 million euros rapeseed. We can replace soya. You could replace triticale, etc. So through this, we don't need to geographically expand necessarily our operations. We can maintain our synergies and effective business model fully integrated, where we perform almost all service ourselves. Next to that, we have every day 20-30% of our feedstock with a constant protein level and fresh food to our animals with 90% less water, no pesticides, no herbicides. And a lot of scientific research shows that either cows will give more milk or produce more milk, or they will consume less tons. So this is an investment. We are also quite far with the financing for this project. I expect to announce the final investment and also the financing this year. And then the first test plant, that would be an investment probably somewhere between 4 and 5 million euros for 40 tons per day, should be operational late next year. And if that is a success, we will further increase it significantly to several hundred tons of production per day.
And Peter, let's see the last question, saving the best for last, the budget for this year. What should we expect?
Well, the budget is not announced. So as I said already, we will publish it on the 9th of September,
So next
just 1 week before our investors day. And as I said, it will show clearly an upward trend. So, and what we will consider there, it will be based on the first 9 months average milk price, the estimate of 70 million liters of milk that we expect to produce by year end, the increase in food cost on the other hand. And it will be based on that, but it will, of course, show as we see the whole year already. I mean, now we published 27 net profit. We budgeted 38 million profit, especially Q3. I expect that it will be a strong quarter as well. We will have, although we have some small increase in feed cost, we will more or less grow in not exactly the same speed, but close to the same speed as the previous quarter. Q4 will be a bit harder, but we still will show growth there. So overall, I think it will look really good. But as I said, I cannot. First, we need to disclose it with the market on the 9th of September. And we will give more explanation around the 9th of September, as well as, of course, at our Investor Day on the 19th of September.
My colleague Eddie will be present at the Investors Day on the 19th. Peter, what should he buy? 2 shares of DN AGRAR or 1 liter of milk? They're somehow the same price right now.
Yeah. No, I would. No, first of all, I would join our Investor Day. I would really call. We have a really nice day. The company where we cooperate and do the testing with for the wheatgrass. The CEO will give a presentation. The CEO of Black Sea Oil and Gas will give a presentation. ING will give a presentation. So we have a lot of nice from our compost. We are flying people from Japan who will give a presentation regarding compost. Our whole strategy really aligned. I think it will be a wonderful day. We have already over 120 participants. Media will be there. The 5 largest banks. So first of all, I would call there. And secondly, I think we are still significantly undervalued. We have proven, without being arrogant and overconfident, but I think from the memorandum that we have presented, and we are now 3.5 years listed on the stock exchange, we have showed growth after growth. We have every time delivered and also implemented everything that we have announced or more. For us, investors and communication is a key of our part, like sustainability. And we have a clear growth trajectory to 2030, while the majority of the investments announced there is something there we have already long-term. Our team has a long-term experience in implementing it. So we have a lot of, especially the new farms, etc., and the new compost plants. It is just to execute, find the financing, and implement them. And it's not new knowledge. The only real new thing in our group, of course, in the future will be the greenhouses, but all the others, it's more or less complementary to what we do today. And then, especially in the agri-food sector, we see also worldwide, we see large investment with a lot of private equity, but also if we look to Mark Zuckerberg, etc., they are heavily investing in agri-food. The far majority of farmers is over 50 years in Europe, so a lot of them will retire, while consumption is significantly increasing in the coming decades. So I think it's a good industry to invest in.
Thank you, Peter, for the explanations, for taking your time for this interview, and for the transparency. And I wish you good luck in your endeavors and your investment plans, and of course in doubling again next year, or why not going up by 60%. That's why I think it went up from what we've spoken last time at the end of May. I've just checked.
Let's make a tradition of this. Then every time when you interview me, that we grow after 60%, and that would be amazing. So
that's a deal. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
I will now switch to Romanian for the closing remarks. Mulțumim tare mult că ne-ați urmărit. Până data viitoare, fir întins la investiții câștigătoare. Numai bine!
Știu ce spun.
Angajații de la finanțe protestează față de măsurile de austeritate. El a fost votat, dar
Acum e vina românului.
E vină. E reacție.
Știu ce te interesează. Uite cum arde toată Europa și la propriu și la figurat.
Niște fenomene naturale.
Mor oameni în fiecare an. Decesele cauzate de poluare.
Știu cum să te fac curios.
A apărut telefonul care te scapă de telefon. Nu se poate face chestia asta și ca să te ajute să slăbești ceva invizibil.
Nu te mai duci la cumpărături, nu mai bagi în frigider, e gol tot timpul, e ca la fot.
Știu cum să te emoționezi.
Zeci de pompieri români vor fi în Franța timp de o lună în cadrul unui program european dedicat controlului incendiilor de vegetație.
Știu să convin. Italienii se plâng că le pleacă românii din țară și că îi lasă fără forță de muncă. Au început să ne ducă dorul.
Știi de ce?
Erau mai muncitori.
Pentru că românii, da, sunt destul de cuminți. După o săptămână începeți să vorbiți cu mâna și după 3 luni nu mai știți româna.
Știu să câștig.
Extraordinar de bine.
Știu, deci știi.